On Friday, Donald Trump spoke at the Black Conservative Federation annual gala ahead of South Carolina's Republican primary. And this was his pitch to black people.
I got indicted a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against. It's been pretty amazing. I'm being indicted for you, the American people. I'm being indicted for you, the black population.
Oh, and if that weren't enough, he had to add this.
The mugshot, we've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot.
Is he indulging his own brand of racism and stereotypes? Absolutely he is. But he's also echoing right-wing commentators who seem to base everything they know about black people on early 90s rap videos. In August, Dinesh D'Souza tweeted about Trump's mugshot, quote, "Think Tupac Shakur, ultimate gangsta." Around the same time, the commentator who said last week that Trump's tacky gold shoes would appeal to black people had a similar thought.
As one black lady I spoke with earlier today here in New Orleans said, Trump's a gangster, and that means he has cred.
That probably never happened, but it doesn't help when black Republicans like Congressman Byron Donalds are doing the stereotyping for them. But worse, creating a false equivalency between the prosecution of Trump's criminality and the ongoing treatment of African Americans within the criminal justice system. Sorry, Byron, it's just not the same.
This is political persecution from the Department of Justice and from radical DAs throughout our country. This is something similar that black people had to deal with the justice system themselves.
Joining me now is Clay Cane, Sirius XM host and author of The Grift, The Downward Spiral of Black Republicans. Clay, it's a pleasure having you. I'm thinking about this. I just didn't really know where to start in this conversation because there is a lot that is so insulting. But I'll start with this. Reaction by Biden-Harris co-chair Cedric Richmond, who said Donald Trump claiming that black Americans will support him because of his criminal charges is insulting, it's moronic, and it's just plain racist. Nikki Haley, quote, "It's disgusting, but that's what happens when he goes off the teleprompter." Does it work? Does what he's doing work? Because there are a lot of folks out there talking, oh, the black vote is moving his way. Black men especially are, amping up for Trump. What's your take and read on why this effort by Trump and the reaction to it by African Americans?
I don't think it works for black voters. I think black voters are much smarter than this, than what the polls may say and so on. One thing that's really important to point out is that there is no discrimination there. If anybody in my hometown of West Philadelphia did what Trump did, they'd be behind bars. That's a clear distinction that Trump, the GOP, Byron Donalds, black Republicans don't seem to make. I don't think any of us can relate to, with all due respect, a rich white guy from Queens who has more felony counts than I could possibly imagine anybody in my neighborhood having. But the other part of it is that someone like Byron Donalds or the black Republicans in the room, the black conservatives in the room who clapped for that, who cheered for that. It is literally a page from my book, The Grift. It is a personification. The reason why they did that, because they know they have to toe the line. And it would make someone like Arthur Fletcher, who I know you knew, the father of affirmative action, Colin Powell, all the way back to Jackie Robinson, roll in their graves. It is disgraceful from Trump and the people who enable him.
How do you see the response to this more broadly? You talk about the African-American Republicans in the room, but then more broadly, what does that say about where we are politically and culturally, that you have a presidential candidate that can feel, yeah, I can get out and say these things with impunity? You had the president back at a rally in an overwhelmingly white town of Dimondale in Michigan in the last presidential cycle, when he was quoted saying, to black folks, you're living in poverty. Well, we got this. Let's just play what the president said to black voters in 2016.
You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs. 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose?
A lot. Because why the hell do you stereotype black people? I mean, you're living in, not all of us live in poverty. In fact, in some states, there are more white people in poverty than black people. But he goes into a largely white community to spew the stereotypes. What is the power there that he's trying to garner? Does it enrage white folks? Does it enable them? What is the dynamic that we should be looking for when he does that? And how do you clap back against it?
You know, it's a really important point because it's not just Trump. Trump is not happening in a vacuum. I call it Southern Strategy 2.0 tactics, using otherism, to be quite frank, to try and gain the white conservative Republican base. And it's beautiful that Nikki Haley called him out, sure. But this is the same person who could not say the Civil War was about slavery. The other presidential candidate, Ron DeSantis, saying there's personal benefits to slavery. Even governors across the country, like Governor Tate Reeves in Mississippi, making April Confederate Heritage Month. This is embedded in the Republican Party. And I think about Will Hurd, a black Republican, who said the GOP must deal with the racism in their party, not only from the politicians, but the base. Why does this resonate with the base? This should turn off the base. Can you imagine if Joe Biden said, more people can relate to me, more black folks can relate to me because my son was indicted? That would be an international story. And you would have every black Republican and every white conservative saying it was egregious. So why does this resonate with the base? I think it's a long time in the making. Southern Strategy, welfare queen narrative, Willie Horton ad, the birther movement. The GOP has to make a decision what kind of base they're going to appeal to.